Hello there and welcome to today's book review. Today I'm looking at Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is a bestseller world over and it sold millions of copies. A lot of people appreciate The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and have testified how this book has transformed their personal as well as business lives. So this is the book I'm carrying out a review of today. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is one of my all-time favorite books, and once in a while I go back and read this book to remind myself of where I'm coming from. As you can see, it's actually in tatters, just showing you how much I've read this book. So what is this, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is a book written by Stephen Covey, and it outlines the 7 key principles or habits that effective people apply in their lives. The first habit is be proactive. Being proactive is about you taking personal responsibility for the outcomes in your life. It is also about focusing on things that you can control rather than things that are beyond your control. Now, this habit really reminds me to focus on what is within my control rather than focusing on things like the government, bad people that we meet in our lives that there's nothing we can do about them. That's how they are. And, just focus on what I can control. For example, developing myself, developing my life, improving my work. So that is what being proactive refers to. It's about you being responsible for the outcomes in your life and also focusing on the things that you can control rather than trying to control things that are beyond your reach. There's little you can do about a bad government, right? There's very little you can do about a bad person with whom you're in a relationship with. But there's a lot you can do about yourself and how you can improve the situation you're in. And that is what being proactive is about. Habit number 1. Habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. Now, this is a habit, when I first read it, I really felt so enlightened. So begin with the end in mind. In this habit, Stephen Covey is talking about you imagining the destination where you want to be, and start with that clear picture in mind so that you are able to take the steps that are going to lead you to that destination. When you begin with the end in mind, you have a clear vision of where you are heading, and you then start working backwards and taking the necessary steps to get you to that destination. Begin with the end in mind is one habit that I quickly picked up when I first read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and it really got me into planning and thinking and just imagining my destination. And I feel it's a habit that has really worked well for me. And so begin with the end in mind is about envisioning the destination where you want to be. Habit number 3, put first things first. This is about planning. Focus on the big things that are important. In fact, in this book, Stephen Covey talks about the big rocks. I think this is where I learned first about the big rocks. And that when you put big rocks, for example, if you've got a bucket and you've got big and small rocks, when you put the big rocks first, the small rocks or the small sand is going to sift through and sit nicely in that bucket. But when you start with the sand or small rocks, the big rocks are not going to fit in the bucket. So you're not going to fill up that bucket. And so put first things first speaks about focusing on the most important things. Focus on the most important those. Don't prioritize emergencies for the sake of prioritizing emergencies. Many of us, as we are doing our work, those things that are urgent seem to take most of our times. But the question you need to ask yourself is this urgent thing important? Because some things can be urgent but not important. And so you should be able to realize or distinguish between the urgent and the important. And this clearly comes out in the 3rd habit in terms of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a habit that you need to develop. Start thinking about what is important and not just what is urgent. Because what is urgent, though not important, might be taking up a significant amount of your time, and as a result, you might not be that effective. One of my favorite habits, think win-win. Now, think win-win is a habit that speaks about, as we build relationships with other people, it is not just about us winning all the time. Think win-win speaks about we can both win. You can win and I can win. Now, we need to think in that line in order for us to have good relationships with anyone that we are dealing with. It could be in our family, at work, in our relationships with our spouses or friends, anywhere. The key thing here is think win-win. Don't think if I win, my friend loses, or if I lose, my friend is going to win. So we need to change our thinking and start thinking of how can we both win. It is in this fourth habit where Stephen Covey introduces the emotional bank account. Now, the emotional bank account is, when I first read it, it's a great concept. It's more like a financial bank account. When you have a bank account with a bank, you normally deposit cash, right? When you're depositing cash, your money is going up. When you withdraw, your bank balance is reducing, right? So Stephen Covey uses this concept to illustrate the emotional bank account. So this is the same concept that can be applied in our relationships. When you invest in a relationship, when you appreciate people, you praise them. Maybe they are looking nice. You appreciate how they are looking. Maybe they've done a brilliant job. You appreciate them for doing that brilliant job. You are actually investing in the emotional bank account. Drawing from the emotional bank account entails you being negative all the time. Somebody has done a perfect or brilliant job and you can't just say well done, and you want to add on, yeah, it was good, but you know what, you could have done it like this. And such negativity draws from the emotional bank account. And so Stephen Covey introduces this concept of the emotional bank account, and that we need to make a lot of deposits into this emotional bank account. You understand? So thank people, smile at people, just be friendly and be nice. And as a result, you're increasing the balance in the emotional bank account. This brings me to another one of my favorite. The 7 habits of highly effective people is just, it's a favorite through and through. Habit number 5, seek first to understand before you can be understood. Habit number 5 is talking about us being good listeners. You see, many of us, myself included, we listen with an intent to reply rather than with an intent to understand. And as a result, we've got terrible listening skills. I'm pretty sure if you've attended workshops in communication, you might have played a game where I think it's called whispering or something. So somebody whispers, it says a sentence and whispers it into the first person in line. By the time it's getting to the last person, the message has been distorted. Good listening skills are very important when you want to be an effective person in your life or in your business. And that's why habit number 5, seek first to understand before you can be understood, is important, because it helps us to improve on our listening as well as communication skills if we are going to be effective people. Habit number 6, synergize. Synergize simply refers to seeking the help of other people in order for you to be much more effective, utilizing other people's efforts in order for you to leverage your own productivity. Synergize talks about embracing other people's efforts into your life as well as your business and anywhere else you are trying to become much more effective. Stephen Covey says synergy is the highest activity in our life, meaning that there's very little we can achieve without other people's help. And I'm pretty sure you agree with Stephen Covey as much as I do on this. There's very little we can do on our own. If somebody tells you that they've been successful and they've done it as a result of their own effort, I'm pretty sure they're not being truthful. Because many times, whatever we've achieved in our lives is because of other people's help as well as contribution into our life. So that is what Synergy is about. It's about utilizing other people's, contributions and efforts in ensuring that you lead a much more productive life. The final habit number 7, another one of my favorite, is sharpen the saw. Now, sharpen the saw refers to you taking care of yourself mentally, spiritually, as well as physically. It's very important. You see, when you do a lot of work, schoolwork, business, even just housework, without resting and taking care of yourself, you are going to be overwhelmed and you might not be as effective as you would wish to be. And so Stephen Covey summarizes the 7 habits of highly effective people with sharpen your saw, which is habit number 7, referring to self-care. Find time to take care of yourself so that you renew that energy that you have. So for me, it's about, exercising, being spiritual, finding time to just read and relax, and just renewing my energy. And so if you want to be an effective person, you need to sharpen your saw so that you can have, this new refreshed energy to be much more effective. So these are, in summary, the 7 habits of highly effective people that Stephen Covey shares in this book that has sold millions of copies world over. So how do you start applying these habits in your life? Well, it all really depends on where you are at. Some people are just naturally good. They are good planners. They invest in the emotional bank account naturally. We are all different. So it's important to assess yourself. What areas are you lacking in? Are you a proactive person? Do you plan ahead? Do you have a vision for your life? Do you know the destination you are going to? So when you think about implementing the 7 habits of highly effective people, assess where you are at currently and then fill in the gaps. Read the 7 habits of highly effective people and apply what Stephen Covey is recommending. So when you talk about, for example, begin with the end in mind. You might be a brilliant person. You are friendly with everybody. You've invested a lot in the emotional bank account, but then you don't have a destination. You don't know where you are going. So if you read this book, you are going to have a clear idea of how you can, create a vision for your life so that you are clear in terms of the destination where you should be. So in terms of implementing the 7 habits of highly effective people, it all depends on where you are at the moment, and then applying these habits in your life. Now remember, developing habits is not a one-time event. It actually takes a lot of time for you to create good habits. We all struggle, right? Like at the moment for me, I really struggle with just letting go of the phone and not taking on social media once in a while. And this is a struggle that I've faced for quite a considerable amount of time. The first thing when I wake up in the morning, I sleep with a book as well as a phone. Majority of the time I'm picking up the phone instead of picking up the book. And the reason why I started sleeping with the book is so that I can wake up and pick up the book rather than the phone. And so with habits, you need to replace the bad habit with a good habit. So for me, if I'm going to sleep with the phone under my pillow, I need to have the book also, so that at least I can pick up the book and not the phone. And if possible, even just leave the phone in another room. And this is something I'm working towards. So building good habits takes a bit of time. It's not going to happen instantly. So you need to be patient with yourself as well, right? So exercise patience. Just have a clear plan in terms of the good habits that you want to inculcate in your life. The 7 habits of highly effective people has improved numerous people's lives. There have been reports of leaders that have improved their leadership skills as a result of reading this book, communication skills as a result of reading this book. And I truly believe that when you read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you are actually going to be a very different person. Entirely different. In fact, the first chapter or the first few pages, Stephen Covey gives a very nice story. There's a picture in the book that he tells you to look at, and it says, what do you see? Is it an old lady or a young lady? Right? And there he's trying to communicate that human beings have got different perceptions. We can be looking at the same picture, but we are seeing different things, and we could both be true. And so perceptions matter, and how we respond to those perceptions is very important. If you've never heard about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I urge you to go to the nearest book store, pick up this book, and start reading it today. And I want to hear from you. How has the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People transformed your life? What brilliant things have you been able to do, or what good relationships have you been able to develop as a result of reading the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? I really want to hear from you, so don't forget to drop a comment in the comment section below. Drop a comment and let me know how the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People has transformed your life. Well guys, this is all I had to share in today's video. If you like today's video, don't you forget to smash that like icon, and also if you subscribed already, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button. It is up here. Click subscribe right now. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.